What's up everybody, I am Jaspreet Singh, and if you're a money nerd trying to figure out the best way to use your credit card, chances are you're going to go down one of two different rabbit holes. Either you're going to go down the Dave Ramsey rabbit hole where you're going to never ever touch a credit card, or you're going to go down the credit card hacking rabbit hole where you're going to try to figure out how you can maximize every single spending purchase that you can. I'm not a credit card hacker. I don't have 45 different credit cards trying to maximize my rewards to the max. It's too little upside for too much time. And I'm also definitely not a Dave Ramsey when it comes to credit cards. Now, Dave Ramsey is a very smart person. He has a very good program and he's helped a lot of people get out of debt. But I tried the Dave Ramsey method when it comes to credit cards. I've read a lot of Dave Ramsey's books and they've taught me a lot about money, and they also scared the crap out of me when it came to credit card debt. And so for me to avoid all this credit card debt altogether, I just avoided credit cards. For years, I was the guy with the fat wallet because my wallet had a whole bunch of cash in there because I didn't want to use a credit card. I didn't even like using a debit card. I only wanted to make transactions with cash because I didn't want to spend more than I needed to, and I didn't want to go into credit card debt. But now I only use a credit card because my credit card company pays me for my smart spending through my credit card. And you might notice that I have a little bit of a tan right now. It's because I was just in Jamaica for a week and my credit card paid for my trip. No, I didn't swipe with my credit card. My credit card rewards paid for my entire 1 week trip to Jamaica. I had about $10,000 worth of rewards sitting in my credit card account for doing nothing except just using my credit card to make my regular transactions. So I used that money to pay for my flight and my stay and my entire trip. And I'll show you what I did in this video and how you can use a credit card the right way, because there is a right way and a wrong way to use credit cards. I prefer to only buy things with a credit card because of 4 reasons. My credit card gives me cash back. It gives me pseudo insurance. It's not real insurance, but pseudo insurance. It gives me financial protection, and I get a whole bunch of perks for using my credit card. I'm going to be going over a whole bunch of credit cards that I use. I'm not being sponsored by any of these companies. I'm not being paid by any of these companies. I'm just trying to tell you the things that I use and how I use my credit card the right way, so I don't have any sort of financial incentive to push any credit card over the other. That way you can make a fair decision if you want to get another credit card or not. When it comes to most of my general spending, I'm looking for a card that's going to give me cash back. So here are the cards that I use. This is a business card. It is a Capital One Spark card. This is the card that I use for most of my business transactions. And then I have my Chase Freedom Unlimited Visa card. This is a personal credit card that I use for most of my personal transactions. Both of these I use for cash back. Now again, I'm not sponsored by any of the credit cards that I'm talking about in this video. None of these companies are paying me. I'm just telling you what I use. So I spend probably a few $100,000 a year or so on this credit card for my business. Now this credit card has a $150 annual fee, and I get 2% cash back on every dollar that I spend. So if I spend $1, I get 2 cents back. If I spend $100,000, I get $2,000 back. And if I spend $300,000, I get $6,000 back. So every year I have all of my regular business transactions and I use this card to do that. And every time I do that, I get 2% cash back. So as I spend money, I get 2% cash back, and this is money that I can use for essentially whatever I want. Now for my personal cards, my personal transactions, I use this Chase Freedom Unlimited card. This one has a $0 annual fee. This is for anybody, and I get 1.5% cash back on everything. There's another version of this where it's a rotating cash back system where you get different amounts of cash back on different items, like you get different cash back on your food, different cash back on your gas and all that. I don't like playing that game. Right? I'm not a travel hacker. I am not a credit card hacker. It's too much work for me. I just want something that's going to give me cash back on everything. That way I don't have to think and spend so much brain power trying to figure out which credit card that I want to use, because it's not worth that effort for me. So this gives me 1.5 cash back on everything, and it has a $0 annual fee. So all of my personal general transactions, I'll show you why I say general when I talk about the others. I use this one because I get 1.5 cash back on everything. So every time I spend money, if I'm going out and buying groceries, if I'm going out and buying other stuff for my personal life, then I use this and I get 1.5 cash back. So the way I paid for my Jamaica trip was through this card right here, my business card. I had about $10,000 or so in cash back that was just saved from me making regular business transactions. And so I used that cash to then pay for the Jamaica trip. Now, while I know I said that I don't try to hack this cashback game, there's only a couple exceptions to that, because for one, I do a lot of my shopping on Amazon. So I have the Amazon Prime card, which gives me 5% cash back on all of my Amazon purchases. I spend a lot of money on Amazon. So I got this card because, well, it gives me 5% cash back on all of that. And then I also have this credit card for my business. It is called the Carrot card. This is kind of a more exclusive card made only for influencers. It's an invite only card at the moment. And this card is very interesting. It's for businesses, more particularly influencers. It gives you 3% cash back on only 3 categories. So I get this on travel, I get it on food, and I get it on camera equipment. So for all of that, I get 3% cash back. It has a $0 annual fee. And they have this interesting feature where every once in a while, they do a 5% cash back promotion. So if I'm gonna go book a business trip or I have to buy some camera equipment, I'll usually just wait until that 5% promo goes around, and then I'll buy it with 5% cash back with this Carrot card. The cool thing about this credit card is it is the thickest and heaviest credit card that I've felt, and if I drop it somewhere, I don't know if you can hear it, but it sounds like you just dropped glass on the table or a piece of metal. Second, when it comes to insurance or pseudo insurance, because I don't think legally I'm allowed to say insurance, credit cards are cool because they give you a whole bunch of protections separate from this protection factor that I'm talking about, just if you make a transaction with the right credit card. So let me give you an example. I have this Amex Platinum card. I use this card for my traveling, and when I went to New York a little while ago, this was back in 2021, I flew on Delta to get to New York, and when I landed, they lost my luggage. My suitcase did not arrive, and now I didn't have anything, so I had to buy some supplies because now I didn't have a suitcase. Amex covered it. They covered the cost of all the supplies that I had to buy because I didn't have a suitcase, and then because I didn't have a suitcase, they were going to cover the cost of my lost suitcase, but then a few weeks later, Delta found my suitcase, and then I was able to get that back, but at least the money that I had to spend to now buy a whole bunch of replacement items, I was able to get that covered through Amex. Now, one thing that you have to understand through this card particularly is this one is pretty expensive. This one right here, this Amex Platinum card, has almost a $700 annual fee. It's $695 a year. It went up. It used to be $550 a year. You can get a cheaper, lower tier Amex card if you want the pseudo insurance. The reason why I have this card is because of this. I'll talk about the perks that I get with this card. But one of the biggest advantages of credit cards, and probably one of the most underutilized thing about credit cards, are these insurances that you get, the pseudo insurances that you get, because you get so much protection through your credit card if you just know what it offers. A buddy of mine is a DJ, and he used this card, the Chase Freedom card, to buy some of his speakers, and this Chase Freedom card extends your manufacturer's warranty by another year. So he bought some speakers and they stopped working after the manufacturer warranty expired, but this card extended that warranty for another year. So then he called up Chase because they have a free manufacturer's warranty that's included with this card, which extends the warranty that you have or whatever you buy, and then they reimbursed him for the cost of the speaker, or they got him a new one. I forgot what they exactly did, but they gave him his money just because he made the transaction with this credit card. The third benefit with credit cards is the protection that you can get, and this is arguably the most valuable thing that you get with credit cards, because this protection is something that you don't really get anywhere else. The reason why credit cards are so valuable, because I'm going to draw this out right here. This, let me say this is you. Draw a nice mustache for you. This is you. This is your bank account, and this is whatever it is that you're buying. When you go and buy something with cash, money automatically leaves your bank account and you buy it because you use your cash to buy whatever it is that you want to buy. When you use a debit card, it's the same thing. It's automatically taken out of your account. But when you use a credit card, now you have a third-party intermediary. You have this card right here, and then this card will buy you whatever it is that you want, and then after the transaction is settled and after you make a payment, that's when the money leaves your bank account. So you have this intermediary there, your credit card, which protects you, which means if some sort of fraud happens, if somebody takes your credit card and they swipe it, well, it's not money that's leaving your bank, it's money that's leaving your credit card company's account, and then your credit card company is insuring you for that. Or if you buy something and you don't get what you promised, well, if you bought it with cash, now you have to fight to get your money back. But if you do it with a credit card, well, now it's the credit card's problem, because you tell the credit card company, hey, I bought something, but I didn't get what I was promised, so you can create a credit card dispute. Your credit card will give you your money back, and now it's the credit card's issue that they have to fight. I was in Boca Raton, Florida, not too long ago. It was my first time in Boca. It's a beautiful place if you've never been there. Beautiful part of Florida. So I was in Boca Raton, and I booked this 1 week health treatment. It was like $7,000, and I went there for 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and it was nothing like what I was promised. It was not what I was looking for, so I said that I didn't want to do it. I left before I even finished the first half of the first day, and I asked to see if I could get my money back, and they said that they wouldn't do that. So I called up Visa, because I bought it through this credit card right here, and I told them the issue. They said, don't worry, Mr. Singh, we'll take care of it. By the end of the day, that $7,000 was already refunded back to my account, and then Chase dealt with the company, and now it was the credit card company's problem. It was no longer my problem. I got my money back, I didn't have anything to deal with, and it was all the credit card company's issue because now I wasn't playing with my money, I was paying with my credit card company's money, and so they dealt with the issue, not me. I got my money back and I was able to live my life because the credit card gave me protection. Pretty much every single credit card is going to offer some sort of protection. Some are going to be better than others, some are going to give you more time to file disputes, some are going to give you more dispute opportunities, some are going to protect you better than others, but in general, most credit cards are going to offer this type of protection. And then we have number 4, the perks. This is the fun stuff that you can get with credit cards, especially if you know how to use your credit card the right way. Now, every credit card is going to have different types of perks that you can use and take advantage of, but for me, mainly I use the perks when it comes to travel because I travel quite a bit. This is where I have 2 different credit cards. I have 2 different Amex cards. I have the Amex Platinum, which I talked about, and then I have this Amex Delta Gold card. So let me start with this one because this one's a little bit simpler. I use this card because I get 2 things. First, when I have to check in a bag, this covers my check-in bag for free. This card is just under $100 a year, and I fly on Delta pretty often. So if I go and check in a bag at Delta, it's gonna cost me $30 one way and then $30 back. It costs me $60 for a checked-in bag per trip, so if I go on 2 trips, that's $120, versus this card costs me less than $100 a year, and this covers my checked-in bags. The second advantage of this card is it also helps get me more upgrades on Delta, because as we all know, flights are expensive, and if you wanna upgrade to Delta Comfort, if you wanna upgrade to first class, especially on domestic flights, sometimes it's not going to make sense to pay $2,000 for a 3-hour flight. So instead of paying for that, sometimes this card will just give you the upgrade for free because you have the right card. Now this is where it also kind of becomes a game, because the way it works with this card is the more money you spend on this card, the more likely you are to get that upgrade, but I don't always want to spend my money on this card because I'd rather get the cash back and all the other things that I talked about. So for me, I don't spend a lot of money on this card because I just want to get that free checked-in bag, and then if I get an upgrade, I get it. So it's a game where you have to decide what's more important to you. But the main thing here for me is I get my money back with this card because I use this card to pay for all of my checked-in bags. And then the second card that I use for perks is the Amex Platinum card, the one that costs almost $700 a year. So the first question that everyone asks about this card is, do you get your money's worth when it comes to this? And to be honest, the answer is probably no, because I'm not really trying to see if I can squeeze every penny out of here. What I'm getting out of here is just a lot of value. So what you're buying with this card is really a bunch of comfort and some added luxury, more than really trying to squeeze every single penny out. So anytime I fly, it gives me a place to relax, it gives me a place to hang out, which is really cool. And then it gives me free upgrades on car rentals, it gives me free upgrades at certain hotels like Hilton's and Marriott's. Anytime I go there, or most of the times I go there, I get a free upgrade on my room just because I have this card. So I like that luxury that I get with it. And it also gives you things like $100 to spend a year at Saks Fifth Avenue, and it also covers the cost of your TSA pre-check and your clear entry. So it gives you a whole bunch of free perks if you are traveling a lot. The more you travel, the more benefits you get. But again, are you going to get $700 worth of value? Maybe, maybe not. But at the end of the day, the value of this card is really the luxury and the comfort that you can get. Now, one of the most common questions that I get when it comes to credit cards is, isn't the credit card interest rate high that you have to pay when you carry a credit card balance? Yes, it's very expensive. That's why I never, ever, ever carry a balance. If you pay your credit card balance off in full, on time or early, you will never have to pay a penny in interest. I have never paid a penny in interest on any of my credit cards because I always pay off all of my credit card balance in full before it's due. Now, if you cannot control your spending, or if you don't know if you'll be able to pay off your entire balance in full every single month, then what I want you to do is you look at all these rewards and I want you to just delete them from your mind, because these perks, these rewards, this insurance, this cash back is not worth the price that you're gonna pay in interest. If you're gonna be using a credit card, I need you to make a YouTube promise with me. Okay, we're gonna do one of these. I've never done this before, but you need to promise with me, I see you through the screen, that you're never gonna ever buy something that you normally wouldn't if you weren't using a credit card. You're gonna make sure that you pay off your entire balance in full every single month, and you're gonna make sure that you don't spend money that you don't have. If you cannot control your spending, you gotta be honest with yourself. If you cannot control your spending, don't use a credit card. What I want you to do right now is just use cash. Use your cash to buy things, because that will help build that discipline when it comes to spending, because that will show you what you can afford. If you only have cash in your wallet, you'll never be able to spend more money than what you have because you only have $100 in your wallet. So start with that. Start by just using cash. Once you're comfortable spending money with cash, once you know how to spend money, once you have that discipline mentally, that's when you can start using a debit card. Now you can practice using a piece of plastic, and with a debit card, you won't be able to spend more than what you have because again, this debit card is only going to be able to spend how much money you have in your bank. So you're kind of progressing your way up. After you're comfortable using a debit card, then you can advance your way to a prepaid credit card. A prepaid credit card works kind of like a credit card where you get some of the benefits of a credit card, but in order for you to use this credit card, you have to pre-fund it. So maybe you put $500 a month into your credit card, and now you're going to use this credit card to make your transactions, but you can only spend how much money you fund it with. So you're kind of advancing now past the debit card. That way you understand how credit cards work. And once you advance past that, then you can consider getting a credit card. But again, I want to reiterate this because these perks, bonuses, promotions that you get with credit cards are not worth the interest that you would have to pay. So you want to make sure that you're not the person that's paying the interest. You want to make sure that you're the person that's getting paid by the credit card company. In the financial services space, credit cards work kind of like life insurance in the sense that they're both very heavily misunderstood. If you do not know how to use these things the right way, it is going to end up skinning you alive. But if you know how to use them, you can use them to your advantage. By the way, if you want to get a free life insurance quote, I'll put a link to how you can do that with our sponsor Policygenius in the description below. And this is the point where everybody starts to ask, what can I do now to increase my credit score? What can I do to get that 800 perfect credit score? That way you can get a better interest rate. Now, I've talked about how to use your money smartly. I don't want you to use your credit score that we can go out and finance a whole bunch of liabilities. I don't want you to go out and start financing things that aren't paying you. But if you're gonna go out and buy a home, having a good credit score can help you. And having a good credit score can also help you get approved when it comes to renting a home. So it helps to have a good credit score. You just wanna make sure that you don't use it the wrong way just to finance a whole bunch of things that aren't paying you. But if you wanna have a good credit score, there's a few things that you can do. 90% of your credit score depends on 5 categories: your payment history, your credit usage, the age of your credit accounts, the credit mix, and your new credit inquiries. Out of those 5, the most important 2 are your payment history and your credit usage. You can't really do much about the age of your credit accounts because if you're 25 years old, chances are you haven't had a credit card for 10 years unless your parents set you up when you were a teenager. And when it comes to your credit mix, you don't want to just go out and start taking loans just so you have a different mix of credit cards. It's better for you to not have these loans on your liabilities, so you don't want to just go out and get loans for a better credit score because now you're losing in this credit game. And then when it comes to new credit inquiries, that's a small piece of your credit score. And again, you just don't want to be applying for new credit cards every single week. But the most important are these: your payment history and your credit usage. First, when it comes to your payment history, you have to make sure that you pay your bills on time, especially when it comes to things like your credit card, because if you miss one payment, it is going to hurt your credit score and it's going to hurt you because now you're going to have to pay interest on whatever it is that you bought, and credit card interest rates are not cheap. So if you're going to use a credit card, remember that YouTube promise that you made, because now you have to make sure that you pay all of your credit card bills on time. So set up an automatic payment. Set up an automatic payment and make sure it happens every single month, where now you're never late on your credit cards. Second, when it comes to your credit usage, all this means is how much of your total credit line are you actually utilizing. So if you have a $10,000 credit limit, are you spending $10,000 every single month, or are you having a smaller utilization? Are you using less of that? They say that the optimal amount is 30% or so or less of a utilization. So if you have a $10,000 credit limit, you want to be spending around $3,000. Now, I'm not saying to go out and spend more money. That way you can hit 30%, or go out and spend more money so you utilize more credit. I'm saying that if you have a big enough credit amount, that's how much money you should be putting on your credit if you want to have the optimal credit utilization. You do not want to go out and try to spend more money just to have a more optimal credit utilization. You just want to understand that you don't want to be using all of your credit limit every single month, because that can put a ding on your credit score. So if you are getting close to your credit limit every single month, because that's what your monthly expenses are, then you might want to consider increasing your credit limit. And of course, another thing that you can do, which is not listed here, is pay down your debt. Because if you have outstanding credit card debt, if you have outstanding bills that you have not paid, pay that off. So spend less money, earn some more money, do whatever it is you got to do to pay off that debt, because not only is it hurting your credit score, but even more importantly is hurting your finances, because this extra interest that you're paying every single month is making somebody else rich and is keeping you broke, because what you want to be doing is making yourself rich. That way now you can keep using your cash to build your wealth instead of just giving it to everybody else. If you enjoyed this video, here's the video I made on the 20 laws of money that I think you'll love, and while you're at it, you can download my free guide on how to start generating passive income by clicking that button below. If you start investing when you are 21 years old and you keep investing until you're 65 and you invest $500 a month, after your time of investing, you will retire with